Hello students and teachers. I'm Professor Agnė Tvaronavičienė from Mykolas Romeris University from Lithuania. And this short video presents reframing as one of the most effective communication tools in conflict management and even beyond it. Reframing is used to change the way someone perceives something. Seeing different context may bring us to changing our experience of it. And this impressive tool may be used in conflict resolution, interpersonal communication, marketing, and even for improving one's personal well-being. Use an opportunity to learn how to help yourself and others in difficult situations and how to see new possibilities and perceive each obstacle as a new chance. My lesson will reveal the definition of reframing, main situations when you can use it, and also a few practical examples. And as well, I will briefly describe in what areas it might be used. Okay, let's go on. And I'm used to start my class on reframing by showing this simple picture. Take your time and explore this image. What do you notice right away? I bet most of you, the same me, as I saw it first time, noticed the black dot. When we see blank paper with no specs but a dot, most of us would zoom right into it. And that dot simply stares to us, and it is impossible to behave some kind differently. But if we look from the broader perspective, this dot takes only small part of the blank white paper. For a precise description of the picture, we should define it as a white space with a small black dot in the middle of it. The same can be said about other imperfections in our lives. The most of us are inclined to focus on issues, despite of the fact that everything else is going really well. Let's take a simple example from your studies. Just imagine that you are the best student in your class. You are getting best grades day by day, month by month, and one day, suddenly you fail your test. There is a big risk that this small disappointment will matter for you very much. You may feel stress, even shame, and definitely will remember this episode for a long time, despite of all best grades which you have earned previously. Here, we can employ reframing as a self-help technique. Do not focus on a black dot, see the white background. Do not magnify the meaning of the black dot, take your lesson, what can we learn from it, and go forward. The same can be done in conflict situations when people see only triggers and forget all common grounds of their relations. So learn to reframe and help yourself and others. Let's start from the definition of reframing. You may find in books or simply on Google a lot of different definitions. Actually, in general, there is a lot of sources on reframing available. Today I choose one of the simplest definitions. Reframing may be defined as changing the words used or the way in which ideas are presented to allow the situation to be viewed differently and more positively. From the first sight, it can seem quite complicated, but let me explain it. Just imagine that you are looking at the world through certain glasses. Reframing in this case may be putting your usual glasses off and putting on another pair of glasses with different lens. Probably the world would look quite different. Just see this example on my slide. We all live in difficult times. COVID pandemic restricts us from various activities we have loved to take before. Remember your disappointment when we had to stay at home for a long time. I bet that you had a lot of negative thoughts. Just imagine yourself saying, "My friends and I do not see each other anymore." Here is quite negative statement which shows your disappointment and anxiety. Let's change your frames or glasses as I named it previously, and put into other contexts. Reframe your previous statement by saying, "My friends and I are protecting each other." We did reframing. It sounds more optimistic, doesn't it? But not all reframing is positive. Reframing may be used in opposite direction when quite positive thoughts may be reframed toward negative ones. Just watch political debates on TV. One can say, "We care a lot about improving the business environment in the country." Another may argue, "So you are indifferent to the most serious urgent needs to increase public hospital financing." Sometimes reframing is used to make the opponents look insensitive or even silly. In such way, even most serious arguments can be reframed into simpler ones and lose their meaning. We should be aware that reframing as a tool is a helpful element of conflict management only if it is used to facilitate communication, not to complicate it. As well, in conflict resolution, we should not change the content of the statement. It is not good to distort words. We are changing usually only the context of the sayings. So, when we can use reframing as conflict management tool? Reframing may be used first of all for taking a sting out of the language, detoxifying or depersonalizing it. During the conflicts, people often use offensive language claims that definitely are not helpful. All these stings may be simply neutralized by paraphrasing it in a more positive and constructive way. For example, claim he is a deceiver may be easily reframed by stating you are angry because he did not keep his word. Other party to conflict no doubt will perceive the saying less sensitive than the statement brought before. Secondly, reframing may be used for interpreting actions from a different perspective. Here we can list even few cases. For example, first of them is shifting from past to future. Just start focusing on what is needed for the future rather than what has not worked in the past. For example, imagine a situation when party A in workplace conflict is saying they write very poor reports. It can be easily reframed by saying, so you want the reports done differently in future. Also, shifting from negative to positive. In some cases, certain circumstances or characteristics may be seen differently if we evaluate it from different perspectives. For example, when one party claims that others spends too much time chatting with others and do not focus enough on his work, we can reframe it by saying, you say he has great communication skills. How can we use it for the work purposes? As well, we can use reframing for shifting from demands to the interest. People often stick to the stated position, which usually are contradicting each other. Every position has interest behind it. Interests are a party's underlying reasons, values, or motivation. It explains why someone takes a certain position. Such explanation often drives conflict parties to better mutual understanding and a really helpful setting for their resolution. The simplest example may be with monetary demands. Just imagine one party saying, I want or I demand 5,000 euro. You may reframe it by saying, I hear that money is important to you. And also, we can reframe by shifting from the individual concerns to common grounds. It is really difficult to find a solution if both parties take care only about their individual concerns. Putting one into others' pair of shoes normally helps to see him or her broader perspective, and there is a big chance to find some common grounds there. It might be previous good relations which are important to restore for both of the parties to a dispute, or reputation, honesty as a shared values of both parties, and etc. Conflict management aims to find common grounds, those lines which keep people together, which they share both in order to find solution which will satisfy their interests. And how to reframe? Every negative thought or statement may be reframed, shifting it to more constructive and positive simply by paraphrasing and questioning. Here you may see example of reframing statements. Let's take few of them and practice a bit. You may hear that other person complains about his partner's behavior, for example saying he is always late. You may reframe it saying, so punctuality is important to you. Reframing in this situation transforms the complaint to the need of the person. Let's go further. Just imagine someone saying, he's a liar, it is impossible to trust him. You may also reframe this statement by saying, what I understand you to say that you were disappointed by his previous behavior. And every such proposition may be led by the question asking for more information and drawing the attention from past to future. For example, what he or she can do in future to make you feel better. And the answer will disclose us the need of person, expressed not as demand but as a request, and I'm pretty sure you all feel the difference. Where can we use reframing? Of course, reframing is a particularly used method when two or more people are in conflict situations. So conflict management often employs this tool. Reframing may effectively change the perspective of the parties and let them see the situation from that broader angle. Reframing is taught in all the basic mediators training courses. But not only mediators should get reframing skills, these skills are useful in interpersonal communication as well. Even if you do not have a mediator, you can use this skill for reframing your opponent's statement simply in negotiations. Good negotiator will find a way to use this tool and get closer to the settlement just by changing his own and his opponent's perspective. And reframing serves well in self-development, increasing your well-being. Sometimes negative thoughts are reaching every human being, it's normal. You should try to reframe the situation and shift negative aspects toward positive. First of all, it is necessary to recognize these intrusive thoughts and intentionally stop it by replacing it with more positive thoughts. For example, you can reframe your thoughts by redefining a problem as a challenge. One more area where reframing is used is marketing. Just observe the advertisements and see how professionally this tool is used. But I'm leaving it for your homework. Concluding, I hope that this lesson will encourage you to read more about conflict management and its tools, especially reframing. And for the end of my lesson, I would like to ask you to look to the picture. And you can see that without changing the perspective, you would never get the idea of the drawing. Learn to change the perspective and do not believe the view which you see from your own angle only. Thank you for your attention very much.